wrote, I think, a very perceptive article in 2001 in the New York Review of Books. I know that you and Ehud Barak have had it.
Rabbani does a phenomenal job throughout this entire process. I feel bad that I'm like covering his face a little bit here because for obvious reasons. For those of you who don't know, if you weren't here yesterday, I'm covering it because like while there are 3 individuals who are relatively knowledgeable, even though they have obviously ideological disagreements, and maybe sometimes Benny Morris can be like a historical from time to time, there's a third person, there's a fourth person involved in this, an iPad kid, if you will, that is banned from this platform for very good reasons. And therefore, I am trying to do my very best to make sure that I am not like engaging in ban evasion, a terms of service violation, considering that he's not the focal point of this conversation in any meaningful capacity. And this is more so a 5-hour debate on a ongoing geopolitical conflict that is very important to my commentary and everything I talk about. I think it's like valid to watch it, but I'm also doing my very best to ensure that, you know, I'm trying to, you know, not engage in ban evasion.
The debate with them, but I think he gives a very compelling reason of why and how Camp David failed. But rather than going into that,
you wrote that together with Hussein Ara.
Hussein Ara, yes, who was not at Camp David.
Yes.
But in response to your question, I think there could have been a real possibility of Israeli-Palestinian and Arab-Israeli peace in the mid-1970s in the wake of the 1973.
I love hearing from a guy who just doesn't know anything about Twitch streaming against a guy who's been Twitch streaming professionally for 6 years. Thank you, Sussy Chris. Everything you just said is the exact opposite. For the record, it's stupid. The rules are stupid. But everything you said is the exact opposite in terms of ban evasion. That would be direct ban evasion under Twitch terms of service. Also, thank you for recognizing. All right.
October War. I'll recall that in 1971, Moshe Dayan, Israel's defense minister at the time, full of triumphalism about Israel's victory in 1967, speaking to a group of Israeli military veterans, stated, you know, if I had to choose between Sharm el-Sheikh without peace or peace without Sharm el-Sheikh, this is referring to the resort in Egyptian Sinai, which was then under Israeli occupation, Dayan said, I will choose for Sharm el-Sheikh without peace. Then the 1973 war came along, and I think Israeli calculations began to change very significantly. And I think it was in that context that had there been a joint U.S.-Soviet push for an Arab-Israeli and Israeli-Palestinian resolution that incorporated both an Israeli withdrawal to the 1967 lines and the establishment of a Palestinian state in the occupied territories, I think there was a very reasonable prospect for that being achieved. It ended up being aborted, I think, for several reasons. And ultimately, the Egyptian president, Anwar Sadat, decided, for reasons we can discuss later, to launch a separate unilateral initiative for Israeli-Egyptian rather than Arab-Israeli peace. And I think once that set in motion, the prospects disappeared because Israel essentially saw its most powerful adversary removed from the equation and felt that this would give it a free hand in the occupied territories, also in Lebanon, to get rid of the PLO and so on. So, you know, and you ask when were we closest? And I can't give you an answer of when we were closest. I can only tell you when I think we could have been close, and that was a lost opportunity. If we look at the situation today, you know, there's been a lot of discussion about a two-state settlement. My own view, and I've written about this, I don't buy the arguments of the naysayers that we have passed the so-called point of no return with respect to a two-state settlement. Certainly, if you look at the Israeli position in the occupied territories, I would argue it's more tenuous than was the French position in Algeria in 1954, than was a British position in Ireland in 1916, than was the Ethiopian position in Eritrea in 1990. And so, as a matter of practicality, as a matter of principle, I do think the establishment of a Palestinian state in the occupied territories remains realistic. I think the question that we now need to ask ourselves, it's one I'm certainly asking myself since October 7th, and looking at Israel's genocidal campaign, but also looking at larger questions. Is it desirable? Can you have peace with what increasingly appears to be an irrational, genocidal state that seeks to confront and resolve each and every political challenge with violence, and that reacts to its failure to achieve solutions to political challenges with violence by applying even more violence, that has an insatiable lust for Palestinian territory, that a genocidal apartheid state that seems increasingly incapable of even conceiving of peaceful coexistence with the other people on that land. So I'm very pessimistic that a solution is possible. I grew up in Western Europe in the long shadow of the Second World War. I think we can all agree that there could have been no peace in Europe had certain regimes on that continent not been removed from power. I look at Southeast Asia in the late 1970s, and I think we'll all agree that there could not have been peace in that region had the Khmer Rouge not been ousted. I look at Southern Africa during the 1990s, and I think we can all be agreed that had the white minority regimes that ruled Zimbabwe and South Africa not been dismantled, there could not have been peace in that region. And although I think it's worth having a discussion, I do think it's now a legitimate question to ask, can there be peace without dismantling the Zionist regime? And I make a very clear distinction between the Israeli state and its institutions on the one hand, and the Israeli people, who I think, regardless of our discussion about the history, I think you can now talk about an Israeli people and a people that have developed rights over time, and a formula for peaceful coexistence with them will need to be found, which is a separate matter from dismantling the Israeli state and its institutions. And again, I haven't reached clear conclusions about this, except to say, as a practical matter, I think a two-state settlement remains feasible. But I think there are very legitimate questions about its desirability and about whether peace can be achieved in the Middle East with the persistence of an irrational, genocidal apartheid regime, particularly because Israeli society.
Rabbani is so good, dude. He's so brilliant. He is so brilliant. Yeah, it is a very well-formulated, well-informed answer. Like, incredible. I don't know what else to say other than no notes. Incredible.
Is beginning to develop.
I'll say this much. I get exactly why Norm wanted him to be a part of this. He is like almost a perfect counterweight to Norm in many respects. Like, obviously they're both correct, but their styles are very different. And he is brilliant.
Many extremely distasteful, supremacist, dehumanizing aspects that I think also stand in the way of coexistence that are being fed by this regime.
So if you look back into history, when we're closest to peace, and do you draw any hope from any of them?
I feel like in 2000, I feel like the deal that was present, at least at the end of the Taba summit, I think in terms of what Israel had the appetite to give and what the Palestinians would have gotten, would have definitely been the most agreeable between the two parties. I don't know if in 73, I'm not sure if the appetite would have ever been there for the Arab states to negotiate alongside the Palestinians. I know that in Jordan, there was no love for the Palestinians after 1970, after Black September. I know that Sadat had no love for the Palestinians due to their association with the Muslim Brotherhood, attempted assassinations in Egypt.
Sorry, which? PLO and the Muslim Brotherhood?
Sadat was upset because there were attempted assassinations by people an assassination. It was a personal friend of his, Yusuf al-Sibai. I can't pronounce that. He was assassinated in Cyprus by a Palestinian.
Killed by the Abu Nidal organization.
Sure, yeah. Admittedly, yeah, he says as much belongs to his group, not PLO directly, but I think that there was a history of the Palestinians sometimes fighting with their neighboring states for hosting, but they weren't getting the political concessions they wanted. The assassination of the Jordanian king in
That's crazy.
51 might be another example of that in Jordan. It feels like over a long period of time, it feels like the Palestinians have been kind of told from the neighboring Arab states that if they just continue to enact violence, whether in Israel or abroad, that eventually a state will materialize somehow. I don't think it's gotten them any closer to a state. If anything, I think it's taken them farther and farther and farther away from one. And I think as long as the hyperbolic language is continually employed internationally, the idea that Israel is committing a genocide, the idea that there is an apartheid, the idea...
Oh, I didn't realize it was actually not like Israel's genocidal actions that are moving everyone away from peace. It's actually the hyperbolic language being applied. Damn. Dude, excuse me. I didn't realize the Palestinians and everyone else, I mean, their lives and their worldview and their deaths. It's actually other people correctly saying, it's the Human Rights Watch that in 2021 said Israel's an apartheid state. That is actually the reason why we will never achieve peace now. it wasn't like actually having an apartheid state. It was people saying this apartheid state is an apartheid state. Damn, dude. Omni liberalism on top, baby. In 2022, sorry, Amnesty International, not 2021.
That they live in a concentration camp. All of these words, I think, further the narrative for the Palestinians that Israel is an evil state that needs to be dismantled. I mean, you said as much about the institution, at least, of the Zionist government. Israel's government is probably not going anywhere. All of the other surrounding Arab states have accepted that, or at least most of them down in the Gulf, Egypt and Jordan have accepted that. The Palestinians need to accept it too. The Israeli state, or the state apparatus, is not going anywhere, and at some point they need to realize, like, hey, we need a leader that's going to come out and represent us, represent all of us, is willing to take political risks, is willing to negotiate some lasting peace for us, and it's not going to be the international community or some invocation of international law or some invocation of morality or justice that's going to extricate us from this conflict. It's going to take some actual difficult political maneuvering on the ground
Of accepting Israel.
Of accepting Israel, yeah.
They formally did in 1993.
Which they formally did in 1993, yeah, but then no lasting peace came after that.
I think they first recognized it in 1973 and formally accepted it in 1993. Oh, whose fault is that, I reckon? Perhaps there was some other shit that happened in 1993. It's so crazy that one historical reference, like one historical fact that he did not cherry pick from his Wikipedia argument, immediately just destroys everything that the foundational basis of what he was presenting.
No, because 1993 was not a peace agreement.
Sure, the Oslo Accords
Were an
didn't have a
interim
final solution.
Were an
of course.
interim
Yeah.
an interim agreement, and Palestinians actually began clamoring for commencing the permanent status resolutions on schedule, and the Israelis kept delaying them. In fact, they only began, I believe, in '99 under American pressure on the Israelis. And
You're being a bit one-sided. Both sides didn't fulfill the promise of Oslo and the steps needed for Oslo. There was Palestinian terrorism, which accompanied Israel's expansion of settlements and other things. The two things fed each other and led to what happened in 2000, which was a breakdown of the talks.
Did you just say they're Jewish, you guys? They use the term final solution? The guy who used the term final solution is not Jewish. Destiny's not Jewish, bro. What? And also, what do you mean? You gotta be joking, right? To be fair, I was being charitable, and I assumed that he wasn't like cynically using that term to invoke Holocaust memes in an otherwise serious conversation. And Rabbani isn't Jewish either. I think that he just said it as like no permanent solution instead of, and then accidentally said final. Totally ignorable. Like I ignored it because it's irrelevant.
Palestinians said no. But I think there's I don't agree, incidentally, with this definition of Israel or an Israeli state as apartheid. It's not. There is some sort of apartheid going on in the West Bank. The Israeli regime itself is not an apartheid regime. That is nonsense. By any definition of apartheid,
well, by the formal definition, I think it qualifies.
no, it doesn't qualify. Apartheid is a race-based distinction between different segments of the population, and some of them don't have any representation at all, like the blacks in South Africa.
But that's
No rights at all. In Israel itself, the minority, the Arabs, do have representation, do have rights, and so on. Yeah, I don't think Israel is also genocidal. I don't think it's been genocidal. It wasn't so in 48. It wasn't so in 67, and it hasn't been recently, in my view. And talk about dismantling Israel, and that's what you're talking about, is, I think Stephen said it correctly, is counterproductive. It just pushes Israelis further away from willing to give Palestinians anything.
I love Zionists, no matter how light in their support, no matter how heavy-handed in their support. The conversation always starts with straight up genocide denial, and then the conversation always ends with, well, you're saying that I'm doing genocide denial, which is making it really hard for me to come to terms with your assessment. It's like, dude, considering that you wrote the book on the ethnic displacement of Palestinians and then literally arrived at the conclusion that it's like good, actually, it's for a higher cause, it's an objectively good thing that this happened, it had to happen, it was inevitable. Like, it's ridiculous to let that hang there and then continue to have a conversation with you as though you're actually making an honest moral assessment here that is morally righteous. It's not. Defending fascism from a liberal framework is always going to run into this ideological crossroad. Who followed this racist on my account? That's so funny. Please don't ban this guy. I love this guy. This is exactly the type of shit I'm on. He called me a racist. Watching Destiny live search Wikipedia is a surreal experience. Yeah, I saw that. Listen, bro. Look, you know, he's got to bring something to the table, okay? Quick fingers.
Please, Norm, tell me you have
something optimistic
to say.
Even though I agree, I've thought about it a lot, and I agree with Muin's analysis. I'm not really in the business of punditry. I'd rather look at the historical record where I feel more comfortable and I feel on terra firma. So I'd like to just go through that. I agree and I disagree with Muin on the 73 issue. After the 1973 war, it was clear that Israel was surprised by what happened during the war, and it took a big hit. The estimates are, I don't know what numbers you use, but I hear between 2,000 and 3,000 Israeli soldiers were killed during the 1970s.
It was 2,500?
Yeah, 2,700.
Yeah, okay, so I got it right. Yeah. I read different numbers. That's, it's a very large number of Israelis who were killed. There were moments at the beginning of the war where there was a fear that this might be it.
There wasn't.
No,
this is nonsense. Everybody forgets Israel's atomic weaponry.
I know, but
so how could they have been defeated?
Didn't Diane talk about the collapse of the third temple?
He did, yeah. but it was hysterical and silly because Israel had atomic weapons. They wanted to stop the Syrians or the Egyptians.
But we're talking about perceptions.
Yeah,
here.
I'm not. I can't tell you if he was hysterical or not.
No, he was. For a day, he was
in the same room with him.
For a day, he was hysterical.
But I'm just saying, let's not bog down on.
Wait, I thought the family atomics was not real. What happened? What happened? The atomics exist, or does the family atomics not exist in Israel? Interesting. It's like the top of the hour ad break. In the minds and souls and hearts of those who are subscribed, they don't see it, so they don't think it's real. But for everybody else who is unsubscribed, well, they certainly see it, and it's a very real thing for them.
Yeah. The war is over, and when President Carter comes into power, Carter was an extremely smart guy, Jimmy Carter, extremely smart guy, and he was very fixed on details. He was probably the most impressive of modern American presidents, in my opinion, by a wide margin. And he was determined to resolve the conflict on a big scale, on the Arab-Israeli scale. On the Palestinian issue, he wouldn't go past what he called the Palestinian homeland. He wouldn't
Palestinian national home.
And the Palestinian national home. He wouldn't go as far as a Palestinian state. I'm not going to go into the details of that. I don't think realistically, given the political balance of forces, that was going to happen, but that's a separate issue. Let's get to the issue at hand, namely what is the obstacle, or what has been the obstacle since the early 1970s. Since roughly 1974, the Palestinians have accepted the two-state settlement in the June 1967 border. Now, as more pressure was exerted on Israel because the Palestinians seemed reasonable, the Israelis, to quote the Israeli political scientist Avner Yaniv, he since passed from the scene, he said, Yaniv in his book, Dilemmas of Security, he said that the big Israeli fear was what he called the Palestinian peace offensive. That was their worry, that the Palestinians were becoming too moderate. And unless you understand that, you can't understand the June 1982 Lebanon War. The purpose of the June 1982 Lebanon War was to liquidate the PLO in southern Lebanon because they were too moderate. The Palestinian peace offensive. I'm going to have to fast forward. There are many events. There's the First Intifada, then there's the Oslo Accord, and let's now go to the heart of the issue, namely the 2000-2001 negotiations. Well, the negotiations are divided into three parts for the sake of listeners.
Well, he just said is really important for people to understand. With respect to Israel's fears of the Palestinian Liberation Organization becoming much more palatable to the Western world, this was always a very real fear, because deep down inside, everybody kind of recognizes that the Palestinians do have a right to that land. It's like if the indigenous populations weren't full-blown, cast aside, genocided, and could literally communicate with the rest of the world that, like, holy shit, these guys are killing us, and we just want the killing to end. We want the oppression to end. It's important to recognize this because the destruction of the peace process from the Israeli side, which Netanyahu literally openly championed and ran on, by the way, played the role of making or legitimizing the reactionary, more fundamentalist, more reactionary forces within Palestinian society that were developing prominence, like Hamas. The only mechanism of pushback against the Israeli state that consistently utilized the two-state solution and the peace process, the so-called peace process, as a way to quietly and sometimes very publicly and openly continue permanently annexing land, continue creating Bantustans, ghettos in the occupied West Bank through settler expansion. That is a very, that's why Israel's way more comfortable with Hamas being the only entity that defends the interests of the Palestinians. Benjamin Netanyahu has openly admitted this as well. He has openly stated this, both in closed-door meetings, openly to members of the Knesset, saying that we can always control Hamas in the way that we know how to. We control how high the flames go. In referencing Gaza, Israel never wanted a real partner in peace. This is why it is fraudulent when people suggest this false narrative. It is obviously ahistorical. It is obviously not only ahistorical, but it's also, I think, impossible to contend with. If you know anything about the situation, if you want to prevent the creation of a Palestinian state, we must support Hamas, and that includes financially. This is our strategy. Benjamin Netanyahu said it, I believe, 2017.
There's Camp David in July 2000. There are the Clinton parameters in December 2000. And then there are negotiations in Taba, in Egypt, in 2001. Those are the three phases. Now, I have studied the record probably.
How do you speak even slower? I love Mr. Bonarelli's fans. Come in to this community. I love when Mr. Bonarelli's fans come in here. Wait, what? His family literally owns slaves on Megawall? This guy also seemingly hates Mr. Bonarelli. Mr. Ravioli.
Tales you have to master.
I'll vouch for that.
I will vouch for it. I will personally vouch for it. There is one extensive record from that whole period, from 2000 to, you could say, 2007. And that is what came to be called the Palestine Papers, which are about 15,000 pages of all the records of the negotiations. I have read through all of them, every single page. And this is what I find. If you look at Shlomo Ben Ami's book, which I have with me, Prophets Without Honor, it's his last book. He says, going into Camp David, that means July, going into Camp David, July 2000, he said the Israelis were willing to return not return, but will withdraw from 92% of the West Bank.
Ben Ami was active.
Yeah, he was at Taba. He was also down there. Israel wanted to keep all the major settlement blocks. It wanted to keep roughly 8% of the West Bank. They were allowing for, you put it at 84 to 90% in your books. They put it at roughly 92%. Israel was willing to give up.
Also depends how you calculate.
Yeah,
It also depends what stage of Camp David, because there were 2 weeks.
I'll get to that.
Proposals changed during
So
the 2 weeks.
Israel wants to keep all the major settlement blocks.
It means the border area of the West
Well,
Bank.
not the border. We have Ariel. We have Mare Adulim. We have, as Condoleezza Rice called Ariel, she said it was a dagger into the heart of the West Bank. So they want to keep 8% of the land. They want to keep the settlement.
All the borders. Fun fact, Israel has never suggested that there wouldn't be a permanent military occupation amongst the Jordan boundary. Like, there was never a moment where the Palestinians would actually have full control over their own border with Jordan. Like, that's a non-starter. Now tell me how that's a decent proposal. They're like, yeah, you can have your state, no standing military, by the way, but also no border, really. And yes, not only do you not have a border, because like people will use the percentages to make it seem like Israel was actually suggesting like a decent proposal, when it was not the case, because it cut through the West Bank and there were no borders. It was basically a Bantustan.
Only blocks. They want to keep 80% of the settlers. They would not budge an inch on the question of refugees. To quote Ehud Barak in an article he co-authored with you in the New York Review of Books,
Bro.
we will accept, and I think the quote's accurate, no moral.
It's so funny. Like, they are cooked.
When does the frame advantage f***ing stop, you scrub? When does your pattern end so I can play a fighting game? What? I'm down backing. Dude, this is exactly how they beat me last time. I'm doing nothing. I'm down backing, and the game doesn't block because it's laggy. Yo, this person's connection is terrible. They should ban this person from playing online. This Laura Palmer. Their connection is terrible. No. Again, look at this. Free combo, and now no have to do. I give up. Now I'm not playing this person again. This person's internet is the only reason I lose to them. You. I'm not wasting time on people with bad internet. Your internet is trash. Stop playing online. What a piece of player. You're a horrible Street Fighter player. You're a terrible human. Capcom sold the out to sell this game to scrubs, and they should be ashamed that they ruined competitive Street Fighter play in the modern era.
Here's Phil to tell you more.
You know I'm going to lose a ton to Cammies. Like this one right here, I'm definitely going to lose to. Time to lose to a Cammy who plays exactly the same as everybody else. I can't do anything. She stuffs all my moves. Sure. Drive rush wide open. I do EX headbutt. She gets to block it for some fucking reason. Whatever you say, instant recovery Cammy play. I did a super. Are you kidding? I did level 1 super. She's gonna win now. Yep. Because it didn't do level 1 super. I did it. As soon as she did drive impact, I did it. Nothing. I mean, she didn't even outplay me with top tier stuff. She just fucking got lucky because my move didn't come out. Complete stupidity. Couldn't do anything. Oh my god, seriously? She recovers instantly. I can't do anything. I'm locked in place, and now I have no buttons to stop the throw. I literally couldn't have stopped that. There was no way. Stupid top tier bullshit. OP nonsense. Look at that. Look at the distance on the fucking throw. Can't stop this. There's nothing I can do. Now I'm guessing now she gets level 3. See, I had to guess throw break ahead of time, and then she gets to do a punish. It's just garbage gameplay. 100% pattern play top tier trash. I'm down backing. I jump and kick, it missed. I'm down backing right after. It hits me anyway. Yo, you suck. These fucking Cammy players are the worst fucking players. She's literally did not outplay me in any stage of the game. And then that game, she's just doing basic shit and it doesn't respond. So go fuck yourself. Oh, look, what a shocker. Another casual Cammy. What a shocking twist. That was a parry. I parried. I have no clue. Apparently, it didn't give me my input. She gets her fucking parry, though. Can't do anything to this. Hondo's weakness is literally throws. He can't stop them. There's nothing I can do to any of this stuff she's doing. I have no answer. I have no answer. Honda has no answer to repeated throws. He can't stop them. What the fuck? Okay. Wow, you're a great player. Can't do anything. Can't respond to that online. It'll never come out. I'm blocking. Huh? It didn't block. I'm blocking down back. Her low hit hits me. She does the flip kick. It hits me. So go fuck yourself. I'm just not going to play against Cammies. There's no point. There's really no point. The game's netcode is not good enough to respond to Cammy's stuff. You can't block the flip on reaction. When you see her flipping and you try to duck, if she does the kick, you cannot then go from the duck back to high block. It hits you anyway. Same thing with any of her low kicks. They're too fast to block on reaction. There's nothing you can do online. The fucking netcode doesn't support that level of gameplay. I'm sure offline, there's many things you can do. It doesn't respond online. So I'm not going to waste time. If I see a Cammy and I lose once, I'm out. I'm not wasting my time playing against fucking shitty pattern Cammies. He stayed right at perfect range. My medium punch whiffed every time. I could not get it to get him to block. What is going on? This is ridiculous that hit. I tried to parry. What happened? Come on. I don't know, man. I'm dropping tons of moves. That's none of that stuff that happened there is what I wanted. It kept dropping moves. That was drive rush. It gave me parry. Jeez. I dropped it again. Come on. I can't get my combos there. Oh my god, that's it. I keep missing my jump-ins. They whiff, and then they can get to fucking hit me after. It's pissing me off. Good. Wow, level 1 wake-up. I wasn't expecting that. I tried to block. The drive rush went low. I tried to block on reaction. You can't block that shit on reaction online. It just hits you. What? That didn't make sense. Oh, I jumped. I keep dropping. I'm losing because I'm dropping moves. Literally, that's why I'm losing, because the moves are dropping like crazy. And it won't block on reaction. It's dumb. What? Oh, come on. Out of nowhere like that? Stopping my moves. No low jab, too delayed. Wow. Oh my god. So here we go again. Cammy, if I lose to the same pattern play, I'm out after one. I'm not wasting time. Same shit. Can't do it. Can't stop her throw. Of course, dive kick is faster than everything in the game. Oh, that stops me now. Oh. I'm not doing anything. Are you kidding? Nothing I could do. She wins guaranteed. Unreal. Unreal. No skill to it whatsoever. Nothing I could do because dive kick is so insanely OP in this fucking game. Oh, man. He got to cancel after the slide. That I wasn't expecting. I was not expecting he was going to get out of the slide and get a freaking drive impact. Oh, I whiffed. Come on. I'm fucked. Oh. He didn't fall for it. Whoa, did you see that? What in the holy heck? That fireball hit me so late. Oh, I definitely blocked it, so I have no clue because I blocked it. I don't even know. I shouldn't have been open there. Whoa, what the fuck? What is going on? I'm getting hit by full screen stuff when I'm not doing anything. It's bizarre. Fucking weird shit. It sucks. He hit me with all these frame traps I've never seen, and that's why I lost it. I've never seen those frame traps before. This is for the Anti-Cramium Anti-Cami Consortium. All right, whatever that means, thank you. Well, she's gonna fuck me up while I update the leaderboard. Because we're up to 202. Go. Wow. Amazing player, huh? Anything to that whatsoever. You should be able to interrupt it with a jab or a short, and the game doesn't let you because online sucks. I can't block. It literally won't block her fireball. She could hit me from mid-screen. I couldn't do anything about it. No parry. Come on. Dude, what the fuck? That's 3 moves in a row. Dude, it's dropping all my moves. I'm getting so frustrated. Fuck this. I'm not rematching this, Chun-Li. I can't block fireball on reaction. It drops 7 moves in a row. Like, literally, it was like drop, drop, drop. Fuck that noise. Your connection is trash. You didn't even beat me. The fucking game's not working. Fuck your mother. Potato. Potato.
Yo, is this person fucking retarded?
Time to face potato. I can't down back. What is going on? I couldn't down back. He was neutral standing instead of down backing, and it fucked me up. I must not be facing straight to the screen here. So I didn't double drive rush? The game actually thinks I double drive rush? What the fuck? Couldn't move. I can't. I'm telling you, I can't react against this person. I try and it's laggy. I can't get it to react fast to anything. Will this be the laggy Chun-Li forever? Yes, it will be. The laggy Chun-Li forever. Great. Not what I did. Oh, nothing I can do. No, there's nothing I can do here. Can't block it. You can't block high-low online.